The Five People You Meet in Heaven, written by Mitch Albom. Overview of the novel. The novel, The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom, is an abstract and fictional look on the afterlife. It is about an amusement park worker who is the head of maintenance, named Eddie, who has been at this park for decades. It is called the Ruby Pier, and it's a place been fun for as long as Eddie can remember, until he was tragically killed trying to save a little girl from certain death from a mechanical fault on a ride. This sends Eddie to what he assumes is heaven. But the five people Eddie meets in heaven and the lessons he learns. Eddie meets five different people in the afterlife that all had very different major impacts on his life in some way. They all greet him in order and tell him why they are significant and teach him lessons and try and help him to make sense of why his life went the way it did. In order of appearance, the Blue Man. This is Eddie's first experience in the afterlife. He's taken back by the whole ordeal, but as he comes to terms with his reality, he's taught two lessons from the Blue Man, such as there are no random events in life, and everything has meaning behind it. The Captain. The second person he encounters is the former war captain. His lessons are to teach Eddie closure in losing things, like how the captain sacrificed his life for Eddie to keep his, but he didn't truly lose it, as he lived on Eddie's memories. Sacrifice isn't something you should regret, but to be happy that someone else can enjoy it now. Ruby. Ruby's lesson is to teach him how to forgive. More specifically, forgive his father. She told him about to give up his anger and resentment for his father, and showed him the reasoning behind his actions. Even if he was horrible, it doesn't help to hold anger towards his father anymore. Margaret, his first and only love, his wife and partner. Her lesson was on what love truly is. It's not anything you can physically touch, and no one ever stops loving someone even after death. Lost love is still love, and it's what makes keeping memories worthwhile. Tala, the child he never saved, and the cause of grief for the rest of his life. Her lesson is to show Eddie had purpose. He saved the little girl from death, but died while doing it. He was a soldier and risked his life for country. Even though he wanted to save her, he couldn't. He made peace with her and saved her in the afterlife. Margaret and Eddie. What does Margaret's relationship with Eddie reveal about Eddie as a character? Eddie and Margaret's relationship was to Eddie the only thing in his life that kept him sane. When they first met, he knew she was the one, and this feeling continued his entire life, even during the war and after she passed on. This type of love and affection they built during their time together shaped Eddie into a good husband and a thoughtful man. If it weren't for the war that changed him into something unrecognizable, this development would have continued. Their relationship showed a different side than what we usually see from his character. We saw a thoughtful, loving, devoted man that stayed by his wife's side. These qualities echoed in the rest of his life. As he was a loyal soldier, he loved his mother and he was thoughtful to anyone who came up to him at the pier. But when he was wife, he was a different man. Happiness was harder to come by after the war. He never managed to get over the trauma of it, and it put a hole in him, never being able to feel happiness when he was supposed to feel it. How can he explain such sadness when she is supposed to make him happy? The truth is, he cannot explain it to himself. This quote perfectly explains how he feels, unable to feel emotions, convinced. The Blue Man. Discuss the Blue Man's lessons. The two quotes we've been presented with are, there are no random acts, and fairness does not govern life and death, if so no good person would ever die. This shows that there is always meaning in life, and that if life was completely fair, no one should die. If it was a perfect world, no one would die. Eddie's relationship with his father was always horrible. This stems back from his childhood, when he was abused, both physically and mentally, and emotionally. His father was never present. He later developed a hatred towards his father, which left him emotionally scarred. After the war, he just couldn't handle it. He had no outlet, and finally raised his hand to his father. This led to This damaged their relationship for the rest of their lives, and his father never spoke a word to his son ever again. The idea of love. The idea presented in the novel is that there are soulmates. We are presented with Eddie and Margaret, two people that came together to form the perfect couple. always by themselves until the very end. That is until Eddie messes up and Margaret then develops a brain tumor and they are split apart too early. Eddie now has to live his life without his soulmate. Tyler is the girl Eddie couldn't save. He never knew he existed, but always had the thought in the back of his mind that she did. He's given peace at the end when Tyler forgives him. This creates a unity in his soul.